What do I fucking shout you down the mic for? Playing your fucking mouth, mate. I'm a grown man. You sent me a message first, yeah? I live in Smethwick, Birmingham. If you want the fucking brawl, come down, Smethwick, ask for Danny G. I'll come out of my house and I'll break your fucking legs, you little prick. No, what are you saying? No, what are you fucking saying? Shut up, rip your fucking voice box out your throat, son. Come to Birmingham and I'll fuck you up. Come to Birmingham now and I'll fuck you up. I've told you where I live. You want to know where I live? I live in fucking Smethwick. Now come and I'll kill you. What? I fucking what?
Excuse
me? No, shut up, you dickhead. Now fuck off. Don't send me.
America, 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 fuck yeah, coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah, America, fuck yeah, freedom is the only way, yeah, terrorists, your game is through, 'cause now you have to answer to America, fuck yeah, so lick my blood and suck on my bones, America, fuck yeah, what you gonna do when we come for you now? It's the dream that we all share, it's the hope for tomorrow, fuck yeah.
You can't fuck with Red Glove on this war state. How about that?
I ain't really changed, it's the same old rebel, still a radical, I'm passionate, it's just another level. AT told me I should fight back, they don't like that. Just know if you rock the boat, you better have a life raft. BJ told me I should fight back, they don't like that. Just know if you rock the boat, you better have a life raft.
What up, everybody in the YTBC? Big shout out to the UGC, hashtag Come at the Boxing, and the NBBC. If you get a chance, please go to the description box of this video. I put the link to all my brothers in there. Please give them a listen, and if you feel compelled to do so, please subscribe. So, I just wanted to address my fellow Americans once again. This time it is going to be more of a point of view video on my behalf. So, I just want to talk about a lot of things that I hear from my fellow American boxing fans and how I feel that it's this certain way of thinking that I think really kind of hurts the sport. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think Americans are the only ones who kind of hurt the sport. Trust me. It also happens with the UK fans. It also happens with fans from many other countries. And I think a lot of it just comes from the pride. And there's nothing wrong with patriotism. I don't want anybody to get me wrong on that. There's nothing wrong with being proud of your country. There's nothing wrong with wanting your country to succeed, whether it be, economically or actually economically. I hope you want your country to succeed. But also in sports and many different avenues, there's nothing wrong with being proud of your country. So I do want everybody who listens to this video to understand that. I don't want anybody to think that you're supposed to, put your country down or anything like that. However, there's also nothing wrong with being 100, all right? Being 100% honest with yourself. Last night, I was on Black Horseman's Live, on the UGC boxing channel. And had a nice little conversation with Jamal Wright and El Jefe. And Jamal Wright especially, he's very patriotic. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with patriotism. But he's patriotic to the point where he's delusional. And I'm just using him as an example. He's not the only one who's like this. And if I'm being fair and honest, when it comes to Jamal Wright, no matter what you say to him, as long as you're not being disrespectful to him, he acts like nothing happened. You could body him in a debate and he doesn't take it to heart. He doesn't have hurt feelings. He doesn't hold it against you. So I got to give him credit for that. But he said some things that I was just like amazed by. And you know what? Jamal Wright's not the only one I'm going to talk about. I just remembered I was also on the Leaders live as well. I was listening in. And he had a gentleman by the name of JFL who was also delusional. I would say that he's more delusional than Jamal Wright by leaps and bounds. And I'm going to get into it. So, and also, real quick about my intro. That whole thing with Anthony Joshua, I'm not calling him an America hater. I put that there because I feel like that's how a lot of American boxing fans view him. Like, those are the things that that he's a hater and this is the energy that he's putting out. But in reality, if you just watch him, he talks normal. Even when he lost, there was a lot of Americans who were like, oh, he's not hungry because he doesn't even seem like he's mad about the loss. No, he knows that he lost fair and square. He didn't want to make any excuses, and he didn't. And he went back to training camp. So let me go ahead and get into this, though. Some things that I've been hearing, and like I said, I heard them last night, but if I'm being honest, it's not the first time I've heard these things. And, that in the UK, they don't have nothing else going on over there. All they have to cling on is boxing. And that's just simply not the truth. Just because here in America we don't watch soccer, the rest of the world does. They call it football, but it's soccer. And it's a huge sport. Okay, there's a reason why FIFA is one of the best-selling franchises in the world as far as video games are concerned, because people around the world really love soccer. Now, me personally, I've never been a fan of soccer. It's fun to play. It's boring as hell to watch, in my opinion. That's my opinion. I'm not saying that it's fact. However, in the rest of the world, soccer is huge. It's I would venture to say it's the biggest sport in the world. And that's just how I see it. I don't know if that's actually fact, but from my experience talking to people from other countries, and I have spoken to people from other countries many, many, many times, probably a lot more than the average American, due to my previous job. I spoke to people from all over the world, people who currently live in other places, and people who live in America but are originally from somewhere else. And soccer, I have to say, is huge. It's a huge sport. So to say that they have nothing else going on, and then it's funny because a lot of people are the first ones to say, oh, they play cricket over there, or they play dart. That just goes to show you they got other sports going on. America is not the only one that has multiple sports that are popular. And boxing isn't even the most popular one over there in the UK. I just feel like a lot of American boxing fans, they have this whole I'm the center of the universe kind of attitude. And we have to realize, yeah, America is great. And America is a big country. But that doesn't make us, it doesn't mean that there's nothing else in the world. It's like I said, there's nothing wrong with the patriotism. There's nothing wrong with being proud of what your country has accomplished. But when you have, the problem comes is when that comes at the expense of reality. That's where I find that it's a problem. Because it is a great country. It really is. I love America. Anytime that I can, I'll buy, a shirt with the American flag on it. I've been known to do that. But I'm not going to act like reality doesn't exist. I'm not going to act like there's no other countries in this world, or that all the other countries are third world countries compared to us, because that's just simply not the case. Our money's not even worth more than other countries. The euro's worth more than our money. The pound is worth more than our money. So we can't even say that our money is the best. So I think people just need to be real and understand just because you want to shit on other countries doesn't mean that everybody from other countries is wanting to shit on America either. It's a very simple concept, okay? It's a sport, okay? If America ran shit, we would have all the belts. We would have all the undisputed champions. But guess what? Last two undisputed champions, Terrence Crawford, who's American, and Alexander Usyk, who's Ukrainian. Why wasn't it an undisputed champion at cruiserweight that was an American? Why didn't that happen? Because the reality is this. As much as you want to believe that the United States is number one at everything, it's simply not the case. And that's why a lot of people have a hard time, a lot of Americans have a hard time accepting that Deontay Wilder is just not the A-side. And I don't mean to bring it all back to Deontay Wilder, but that's just the reality. I mean, I'll use myself as an example. Terrence Bud Crawford is my favorite boxer right now. A lot of people might think it's AJ, but it's actually Terrence Bud Crawford. But if I'm being honest, he's not the A-side in a lot of these big fights that I want to see him in. He's just not. Now, there's other things that need to be taken in consideration, not just A-side, but that's the reality. He's not, as far as name recognition is concerned, he's really not the A-side in a lot of cases. Now, Bud is my guy, but I can accept that fact because I'm not emotionally attached to him and I'm not delusional. And if I'm being honest, he's not completely proven at 147, but that's because the guys that he could prove himself against don't want to allow him to prove himself. That's the reality. But a lot of American fans have a hard time accepting reality. They don't want to believe that they don't want to believe that their guy is not the best. They don't want to believe that, you know, a guy from another country could possibly beat their guy. To the point where they don't even want to see the fights. They make excuses for the fights not to happen because they're afraid that reality is going to set in. And that's just the cold hard truth right there. Now, once again, I'm not saying it's all American fans. I'm not even saying that it's all fans of these fighters that I brought up. But it's something that I have noticed with the American boxing fan. You know, a lot of American boxing fans. Last night I heard Jamal Wright say that all the boxers from the UK are bums. So because you don't know who they are, they're bums. There's no possibility that maybe you don't know as much about the sport as you think you do. And I gave Jamal Wright some respect last night. I gave him some props, but this guy didn't even know that Deontay Wilder got knocked down in his professional career. He's supposed to be a huge Deontay Wilder fan, but he didn't even know that fact. So you don't even know that much about your own favorite boxer, but because you don't know about these boxers from other countries, they're bums. The reality is this. It just means you don't know as much as you think you do. And you know what? There's actually nothing wrong with that. We're all learning. My original name on this platform was YTBC Student because I'm always willing to learn. And that has never changed. I'm still willing to learn at all times. But a lot of y'all, rather than learning, you'd rather just stick to your ignorance and let that shit fester. And that's when it becomes a problem. That's when you end up getting bodied in debates. That's when you end up having fallouts with people because you're too emotionally attached. And that's one thing that I got to give credit to Jamal Wright for. He's not that emotionally attached where he holds it against me or anybody else that he ends up on a panel with that disagrees with him. It gets pretty ridiculous. And it's even to the point where it's with your fighters in your own cities. That JFL guy, I have to say, is more delusional than Jamal because He literally said that Danny Garcia was robbed against when he fought Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. He says that Danny Garcia has never cherry-picked. He says that he's still undefeated. That's delusion right there. Now I'm going to use myself as an example again. Keith Thurman used to be my favorite welterweight. He's from Clearwater, Florida, which is a 20-minute drive from where I live. If that. But I'm not going to say he's undefeated because he lost to Manny Pacquiao. If I'm being honest and unbiased, he did not win that fight. He got knocked down, and he didn't win enough rounds to offset that, to get a draw or to get the W. That is the reality. A lot of Americans just need reality checks. There's nothing wrong with keeping it 100. You can criticize your fighters, you can be real about your fighters, and still be a fan of your fighters. But the reality is this: you're not willing to let go of that emotional attachment that you have. And you will make excuses. You'll even make a fool out of yourself because you love that fighter that much. And the reality is this: they don't even know you exist. So why make a fool out of yourself for them? To all my subscribers, anybody watching my videos, or if you just so happen to stumble on this video, hope you all have a wonderful and blessed day. Peace.
Undefeated.